Welcome to the Mother-Daughter Ish podcast. It's your mama's favorite podcast.
And the podcast your daughter always wanted.
This is Miss Dawn.
And Angelique.
From the 713. Houston, y'all. Get connected and stay connected weekly as new shows debut on Sunday, Wednesday, and please check out our Saturday Out and About showcases.
Enjoy the show. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, and tell every woman on the planet that you know about our show.
Here's our show for today.
Hey mothers and daughters, I just wanted to share a little bit of information, and I think the information that I'm going to share is not just for my area here in the Texas area where we've had, Burrell and Alberto a couple months ago, but I just wanted to kind of have a FEMA PSA because I hear so many people, not just on social media, but friends that I know, family, and everybody is like, well, how do we get the help and how do we, get some support and all that? And I just really want to kind of walk you through real quick the fastest way to work with FEMA. I have found that the fastest way to work with FEMA is to go online. If you cannot go online, there is a phone number that you can call and they will help you over the phone. But if you do, I'll talk first about the online. If you do have if you do have internet access, or on your phone, if that's how you use, or your iPad, the best thing to do is to go to, and I'm just going to give you a roundabout way that I do things to find what I need to get me what I'm looking for. So if you go to FEMA, and just go to Google and type in FEMA, and then it's going to take you to a page that says Disaster Assistance. You're going to click on that. It's a red button that says Apply Here. When you apply there, it's going to take you over to their new system that they're using with login.gov, which is a federal system that the IRS and all of those folks use. Okay? Remember, follow the paper trail. Everybody wants to follow it so they can keep track of what you're receiving. So when you go to login.gov, you're going to create a password with your email. Make sure it's an email that you can get into, that you use all the time. So once you create that with your email, then it's going to give you several different security ways that you can get in. I particularly like the backup codes because they give you 10 codes and you can only use it one time. Once you use that one code, then you have 9 others that you can use. Once you use them all, it will generate another 10 codes, okay? Now, once you generate those codes, then you're going to save them. Either make a printout and save it as a document on your device, or cut and paste them somewhere where you can always go back and use them and cut and paste to put back in, because every time you log in, it's going to ask you for it. So once you create your account, you verify through your email, and you go back to the disaster assistance page, it's going to take you there. Then you're going to create the information that you need and tell them what type of support and service you need. Once you create that service that you need and you click those buttons, I need help with, repairs, or I need food and gas, I need shelter, all of those type of things. Then it's going to tell you to complete it. You got to log back in. So when you log back in, there you go back with your login.gov, put in your email, put in your password. It's going to ask you for a backup code. It might even say we're going to text you to get a code from that. It's been doing it 2 different ways. Once you finish your application, make sure you keep all of your passwords and backup codes at your access because you want to check it. I have found that if you click the button that says, how would you like your correspondence? I'm going to suggest that you choose by text message. Let me tell you why. Because every single time they text message you, that's a call to action. That's either we've updated your file to let you know if you've been approved or not approved. We're trying to come out and do an assessment. Here's who your case person is. Give them a call and tell them what day and time. It has been the best way because not all of us are just on our email all day long checking. I know I'm not, so I'm just assuming other people are not either. Once you have created that profile, you can go back in and look at it. Now, you cannot have more than 2 profiles on FEMA because it uses your social security number, your address, your phone number, and things like that to identify you. And you cannot have more than one person legally, I should say, using more than, one person using the same social security number. So that's how you can do that. But I'm going to tell you that the platform, it's not easy if you're not computer savvy, but it is the best way that they have really done the correspondence without you having to call in. I just had somebody tell me yesterday that they called in to even just try to check on their application because they didn't want to take the time, get on the computer, do the backup codes, they don't like that because they're not a computer savvy or happy person to even be on that computer. And I get that because it's not for every person. But they called and the helpline said, you are call number 943 in line. I want to give you a little tip. When they tell you your call number whatever in line, hold on. Because if you hold on for about 3 or 4 minutes, there's a message that's going to come up and say, if you would like for us to save your place in line and have us call you back, I'm telling you now, do that. Because at least you can go on about your life. You can go to the grocery store. You can go on and clean up. You can go on and cook. You can go on and do your work and just keep your cell phone right there next to you. Now, let me give you one other tip. If your phone is like my iPhone and you have everybody in the universe blocked unless they're in your contacts, you might want to give a different phone number. Because I gave my work phone number because, or I should say the number that I've used for any type of thing that's not personal, I gave that number because it's open to everybody. My cell phone, iPhone, my personal phone is only open to family and friends. If you're not a family and friend, you don't have that number. My doctor's office, they try to call me from different numbers. They have to leave a voicemail and I'll call them back. Once I see that number they're calling from, then I log it into my contacts. So then the next time they call me, then we'll be okay. But I'm telling you, anybody who's not in my contacts, they are blocked. It keeps me from getting spam. It keeps me from getting unsolicited calls. It keeps me from getting all those dumb phone calls about, do you want to sell your house? I don't care anything about they want to get you to get your warranty updated on your car. All of that stuff, I weeded it out years ago, maybe 2, and I just have not been bothered with any of that. I don't even want to hear my phone ring if you're not in my contacts. So these are just my little public service announcement for those who are finding it very, very difficult, because I've seen people on Instagram saying, I don't know how to get help. And I'm just like, it's what they call it. It's a very known, wide open secret because so many people know about it, but then I'm always thinking about those who don't know about it. And I will also just make a suggestion, and I guess really an appeal. If you have an elderly neighbor who they need help, it takes no time to go and do it. I'm going to tell you, from the time you get on the computer and you create your login.gov password and you do all of that round robin, that take you about maybe 5 minutes. You can apply for the FEMA support in about 3 to 5 minutes. So that's a total of less than 15 minutes. I know that if you know people who don't know how to do it, but they really need the help, maybe they need their food, replaced for us, not having lights for 6 or more days, people who, need help with getting gas, because I'm going to tell you something, the way they jacked up those gas prices from $2.90 to $4.10 was absolutely ridiculous. And I don't care how many times we turn them in and let the attorney generals and everybody know about the gouging that they do with the gas, water, toilet paper, and food. Nobody really does anything about it, because I guarantee you the next time a storm comes, the same thing is going to happen. It happens every time. So I don't know if they get punished or they get fined, or we never get to see the results after what happens. But I'm suggesting to you that if you know people who do need help, it just takes no time to help them. I can't even tell you how many people I had call me on the phone saying, Dawn, can you help me with this? And I'm like, I'll just stay on the phone and walk you through what to do. Then I had people calling saying, can you tell me how I should answer these questions? Because I rent this house, but I have to take care of all the maintenance, blah, blah, blah. My contract says, because, I had one lady call me. She said, well, I'm a renter, but my daddy owns it, so he don't charge me that much money, so I'm really not a renter, but I just give him something. I said, well, then it would be the same as you living at home with your daddy. So that is your house that you grew up in or whatever. So it's just certain things that, what's that saying, common sense is not common? It's so true. And that's not to insult anyone. It just means that in a time of crisis, some people, they can't think the way that they need to think. And I get that and I understand that. I absolutely understand that. I've never been a person like that, but I see it around me, so I do understand it. And because, a lot of people are they're focused on so many other things, they can't really gather their thoughts, about that. But that's just my PSA on how to really navigate the system. Now, again, if you do have to call in, just wait a few minutes and there's going to be something that comes on to say, you know, do you want us to give you a call back? You can keep your place in line. I've done it on so many different, sites or whatever for different various things, of course. And that always works really, really good. I mean, I've hung up and it's, people have returned my call in not even 1 minute, like 30 seconds. But again, if you want to just kind of go to FEMA on Google, it's going to pull up FEMA and then it's going to take you to disaster assistance. There's a red button that says, let's get started. You go ahead and get started. Now, when you go back in after you have created your account, you've applied for the services that you want, when you go back to FEMA and then you go back to disaster assistance, then what's going to happen is if you scroll down just a little bit in the middle of the page, it's going to say check your status or create a status. So at that point, you're going to be checking your status. Once you check your status, then it's going to show you whatever FEMA programs you applied for, whether you used the new system or the old one way back, let's just say in 2017 when we had Hurricane Harvey. I was just so sad when I went back and looked at my Hurricane Harvey, baby. They gave me $240 for my whole fence that came down that cost me $1,000. So I just was like, well, wow, they didn't really do a lot. But then again, I don't know a lot about the system. So I didn't know what to do then. And now I'm just kind of fumbling and bumbling around like everybody else. But I do know that when, times are the way that they have been and we get taken advantage of through all of the retailers and, all of these people, that I feel like because, we're citizens of the United States of this America, that they should be able to compensate us in some kind of way to make sure that we can still do the things that we need to do every day, but then we can get a little help. And I've heard people say, on different platforms, oh, FEMA's for poor people. Whatever. FEMA is there as our taxpayer money to help in a time of need. And I can't think of a better need than when a storm comes through and a tree falls on your home like it did mine, or when your fence gets completely demolished like it did mine, or when, the tree falls and pretty much almost destroys your vehicle like it did mine. Who's to say you can always just come up with $35,000 to just pay for everything? And everybody's going to gouge you, and you know it. I had a company come out, 3 actually, but the first one that came out, he said, oh, for me to trim down the rest of these trees before the next storm comes, they got to try to put fear in you. Don't work for me because I wasn't born with that gene. 2 genes I wasn't born with: the fear, guilt, and the guilt gene. I wasn't born with those 2 things. So the fear gene and the guilt gene, it doesn't reside in my temple. So I had a first tree guy come out. He said, oh, it's going to be $8,500. Oh, okay. The next guy came out and said, it's going to be $3,700. Oh, okay. Third guy came out and said, oh, it's going to be $2,250. I said, okay, you talking my language now. So I'm going to get one more person out here and see if I can get it down to $1,725. And if not, I'm just going to have to do what I have to do, because I literally have 8 more trees that have to be, trimmed down so good that even if the next storm comes, it won't fall on the house. But the reason why I've always had a lot of trees and kept a lot of trees, or not had because they were here before I got here, but the reason why I always kept such big, huge trees around my house, because it covers me from the sun so my house don't get real hot. I have those really good, awesome, 2-digit light bills. And then also, whenever the hail and all those things are flying around in the sky, it won't hit my house. It has to get through the trees and it bounces off. So I've really been protecting, my roof and my windows and all of these things by having so many trees, because we've had some huge, huge ice hail that has come through and that has just done some damage. And so you don't want to have to keep replacing windows and all these things. So those trees have really been blocking some of those things for me. And I've been really, really grateful for the last 26 years in this house. But again, that's just my PSA for today, to just let you know, if you want that assistance, definitely go there. Now, if you do have people that don't want the help, they rather do it on their own, but they don't really know what to do, you can still tell them to go to 211. Now, when you go to 211, you can just let them know that you need the assistance, and they will help you with that. Any kind of assistance that you need. If you've out of work, they had disaster employment assistance through FEMA. I mean, I honestly saw like 7 different programs. You may not have seen them, but I'm telling you, all the ones that people were just kind of putting out, and I was second guessing it, going like, literally when I went and checked them out, they were actually legit through the .gov. And, anytime you see something with .gov, it's legit, because an average Joe can't even go and buy a .gov domain. So you have to be real legit and turn in certain documents to be able to do that. I hope that this information that I've given you today has been helpful to you. I hope that it brings you in something that can, help you in a time of need. And I'm going to suggest to you that anytime there's a time of need, to do it. And here's why I'm telling you. Because every time we have a disaster, I forget about FEMA. I never think about it. I never consider it. I never get on. I just, it doesn't even come to my mind to ask for help, because I'm a person that kicks into action, and I'm always thinking about, okay, what do I need to do to fix this? And so then I just fix it. But I decided I'm no longer going to be that person. I'm going to ask for help. So I'm suggesting you do the same. That's my PSA for today. Hope you have a great day. And until next time, bye.